respected Governor Dr. Paul, our very dear Chief Minister Raoji, and our Education Minister Raoji, Mr. Ramaswamy, distinguished faculty members, Vice Chancellors, and most important of all the students, including the toppers. Even if those who are not toppers, I want to say hello to them. Toppers in one exam is not enough. We have to be topper in life. So it's only a beginning. Don't forget that our Chief Minister said we have to continue to do things that will make India good on the top of the world. I'll talk about that today. I'm very happy to be in Uttarakhand. I come every year with my wife to Uttarakhand to talk to children from all the schools of Uttarakhand. And we run the program usually in Gangoli Ghat or Pithoragar. And we have been doing that for the last 10, 12 years. And we do this program twice a year from my center. We send professors all over Uttarakhand to talk to school teachers and children. I somehow feel I'm part of Uttarakhand. I feel that there is a great future for this beautiful country, which is God's own place. If God lived in India, it will only be in Uttarakhand. So I think I would like to say something about various things that are of interest to me and to you, hopefully. Just for a minute, I have been doing research, scientific research for the last 66 years. I started in the year 1951 as a young MSc student in Banaras Indian University, and I'm still doing research. I'm very proud that I can continue to do so. Well, when I started college, India got freedom. 1947, I just started college. India got freedom that year. I still remember the excitement of that day, getting India becoming free. That is one reason my love for India starts from that day. And that is one reason I have done everything from this country. Whatever I have done is from India. It's very, very important. Well, anyway, I studied abroad. I did my PhD, postdoctoral work. I started my career in the Indian Institute of Science as a young staff member many years ago, 1959. I was 25 years old. There was nothing. India was a very poor country. There are not many facilities. Many of you do not know. When I was doing studies, my entire state had only one science college where you could get a degree. Only one. One engineering college, one science college, one medical college. Humanities, one college. That's it. Entire state. Today, look at how many universities, how many IITs. We have many, many facilities. Many things have happened. Same with when I came back from America to start my career, starting some research work, absolutely no facilities. Where India was a very poor country compared to what we have now. And in spite of that, it was those days, I decided, how do I make something important, do something important from India without facilities? That is how I thought those days. I am so glad I worried about that. So I decided to work in an area which was not very crowded. Create a new area of science where there is not much competition, but there is a lot of work to be done, and we can do something even with poor facilities in India, with only ordinary X-ray facility, nothing, no electron microscopy, no spectroscopy, those days, in 1959. So that's how we started. In fact, I don't know if you remember the famous poem of Robert Frost, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Sorry, I could not travel both. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." It is very, very important lesson for all of us. So I did that, and today, of course, that area has become one of the most important areas in science, advanced materials. Other than biological research, materials research is probably the second most important area of research in all of science. And many people think I am the grandfather in this subject. I started, of course, with nothing in 1959, and that has been a wonderful experience. But the reason I told you was one can work in India in spite of difficulties. One has to try. I'll come back to this point later again. Well, what has happened in India is, I thought around 1980s, we are doing well, many institutes are coming up, universities are coming up, we are giving more and more money for science and so on. But unfortunately, suddenly, because of globalization and many things that have happened, competition increased enormously. Suddenly, China has come up like a huge monster, such a, I don't want to use the wrong word, it's such a huge structure in everything. It's a huge effort in China. China has invested so much money in education and science, it is impossible to compete with it. It is now investing more than the United States right now. They are producing 23,000 PhDs per year. I'm not jealous of that. Every Chaprasi will have a PhD there. There is no point having that. But we only produce 8,000. That number is not important. But I am telling you the kind of competition India is facing. And then South Korea, with a small country doing nothing. South Korea got freedom same time as India. I hope you all know that. Suddenly it has become such a technological superior nation, it is able to defeat Japan in everything. In fact, whenever I go to Japan, the main worry Japanese have is that South Korea is coming up. What do we do? So South Korea, right next door to us in Asia, I'm not counting America, I'm not counting Europe, China and South Korea have become powerful. Then of course there is Japan. So it is this, it is not that we are not doing, but others are doing more. So this competition has become very difficult. Another thing is what has happened. Science and technology, science and engineering itself has changed. I hope you don't mind, some of you are not science students. Why am I talking about science? Let me tell you, though the country which rules the world will be the one that rules science also. No country has ruled the world today, is top in the world without being top in science. People say, of course, we'll have a big army, we'll become a big, powerful nation. No, China has the biggest army. China now feels they should be number one in science. Army is there anyway, they have 2.5 million soldiers. And economically very advanced, so very powerful. No, mere economy won't help. Mere economy won't help, mere army won't help. Eventually, the foundation of science and technology is the one that makes a country to become a leader in the world. America has always done that. That's why America is number one. Whatever you may do, America is still leading. It's number one, you can't help it. But China wants to be at least number two, which is trying to become. That is where our problem is. This competition is so serious. That is one kind of competition. Another kind of competition, the science is so difficult today. I used to send papers to major journals, get published so easily. Today you want to publish a good paper in a good journal, my God, it is difficult. Every paper is turned down. Referees don't accept papers so easily. So what they call the referee fatigue that hurts many Indian scientists because they get exhausted by referees. They don't accept whatever they do. In fact, that is why the number of publications from India in top journals has really come down. Not doing well. It's a pity. China is increasing and we are coming down. It is not because we are not doing work, because we are not somehow able to compete. The quality of work, to expect it to be published in a very good journal, published new science, is extraordinary. The kind of measurement, the kind of theory, everything is very, very, not only exacting, very demanding. So it is this situation that has become very important. What do you do then? What we have to do is, we have to do many things. First of all, we have to do hard work. I don't know whether our Chief Minister meant this. I really feel, yesterday I was telling somebody, our governor or somebody in the evening, India is not a hard-working nation. We are not at all hard-working. Compared to Chinese or Korean, we take life easy. If the teacher becomes angry at the principal, he stops teaching. If a student gets angry about something, he does something else, he stops studying. Our anger shows up in many ways. In fact, our work is the one that suffers for whatever reason. I have noticed it, I have nothing against it. I have students from all over the world. My Indian students work day and night in my lab when they are with me. When they go abroad also they do that. So I don't know what happens later. Overall India I see, average professor in my institute, you hardly see him. He's having coffee all the time, tea all the time, talking to people. I don't know when he works. The working habits of Indians are not very good. Because whenever you go to China or Japan, it is very, very frightening. Japanese particularly. I don't know, many of you who know Japan tell you, if a Japanese scientist or a worker gets angry, he puts in 2 more hours that day. Whoever showing anger is working harder. It is a very strange country. We have to done that. Indians must work hard for this country. This country deserves more. We have to work more for India. And that is one thing. Second, other thing, intellectually. My great guru, Linus Pauling, for those who may not know, I was really inspired by Linus Pauling when I was a young student in Benares. That is when he discovered the alpha helical structure of the protein, 1951. In fact, from then, he has been sort of a guru. When I read his famous book, Nature of the Chemical Bond, he was like my guru. As you know, he received 2 Nobel Prizes. Linus Pauling, when he discovered the alpha helix, somebody asked him, how did you get that great idea? He said, to get a great idea, you must have many good ideas. You have to keep looking for good ideas. I am telling you this much. We in India should be going and looking for good ideas in every area. Always searching for good ideas to make our work better, our country better. In everything you need new ideas. Are we doing that? We are becoming very routine-minded in a way that we do the routine things. We don't get excited about new things. What we have to be doing is keep our mind fresh, keep looking for new ideas. Science particularly is very important. Unless you are in search of new ideas, new things that will excite you, will give you good results, nothing great will come out just by routinely doing laboratory work or whatever it is. Well, people always say, they criticize the government, we are not all governments, so they are not investing money in science education. That's true. The government must increase its funding for education to 6% of the GDP at least, or similarly it has to increase money for science as well. But that is only one aspect. But there are many other aspects. As human beings, there are many things we should be doing. But what are those things? For example, Tagore, I don't know whether you have read Gitanjali, he said the most terrible quality of India, we have to worry about terrible quality of human beings, is selfishness. I don't know whether Vivekananda was quoted by Dr. Dami. Vivekananda was asked, what is the future of India? India will be a great country? Then he said, no, but I'm a bit worried, doubtful, because Indians are too selfish and too envious of others. So it may not become a great country. Please read Vivekananda. I was amazed that he said that so many years ago. I am noticing that somehow we do not allow others to prosper. If some chief minister is working very well, others won't like it. If a professor is doing well, others will complain about that. It is amazing how envy, jealousy, selfishness have taken over. In fact, I would like to read out a poem for you from Rabindranath Tagore, Gitanjali. So, Gitanjali is something we must all read. It's an Indian writing. It's available in Bengali and, of course, in English as well. It is a very, very nice poem about selfishness. I came out alone on my way to my tryst, but who is this that follows me in the silent dark? I move aside to avoid his presence, but I escape him not. He makes the dust rise from the earth with his swagger. He adds his loud voice to everything that I utter. It is my own little self, my Lord. He knows no shame, but I am ashamed to come to thy door in his company. Beautiful. In fact, I find science can only thrive when there is generosity. Whatever I am worth, I owe to my teachers. Great teachers I had in America, everywhere, who allowed me to prosper. In fact, there was a professor with whom I worked. When I did so many things in Berkeley, he said, you publish it. I published more than, I hardly had any 1 or 2 papers with him. When the number of papers I could publish in America when I was a student, because of the professors who allowed me to do on my own many things. In fact, before I got my PhD, I had 25 papers, of which only 3 with the professor, rest all mine. The unbelievable kind of encouragement the mother gave. I owe that a lot in my life. So we must encourage young people. Since this is a conclave of young people, I'm telling you, unless we encourage people, give them freedom, not only freedom, give them a positive outlook by ourselves having a positive outlook, by being less selfish so that they become less selfish. We become not only very excited about science, so the young people get excited. If the professor himself is not so excited about science, how can the young student be excited? So this is what it is. I don't see enough excitement, enough generosity in India, in science, in education itself. Education particularly is very important to have generosity. Because I believe a teacher is one who gives everything to the student. A teacher, a scientist is also a teacher. In fact, no, it is very important in teaching that you have no selfishness. Everything you have to give away. We have to develop that attitude in India. The teaching community is one of the crucial communities for India's progress and future. If education can be blamed, it's only because of the teachers, not because of the students. We have to improve the teaching, but improve teachers. There again, being less selfish and give more. In fact, there is a very famous story in Indian mythology. I don't know whether many of you know Sanskrit. If it were Sanskrit, I would have told you in Sanskrit itself. There's a very nice story. It says this man becomes looking for the ultimate knowledge. He went out looking all over the place. Suddenly he goes in a forest and sees a tree full of fruits, colored fruits, flowers, but not a bird, not a bee, not a butterfly, nothing is touching there. So all these fruits. Then he asked one wise man, what is this tree? With all these fruits, not even a bird, nothing is going near that. He said, it is because there is a teacher in the previous birth who didn't teach his students properly. It is a very famous story in Indian mythology. We have to give everything. The future of India, if it has to depend on the young people, we teachers have to give everything to them. Not only classroom teaching, beyond the classroom teaching. In fact, teacher is the one who does not teach what is in the books. But I have taught for many years in IIT Kanpur. In fact, I was known for giving the lectures in a particular way. I would cover the subject, but also teach other things, tell them stories about various things. It's very, very important that we do the right things for this future generation. Well, I meant about selfishness, I talked about it. And another thing is fear of failure. If you fail in something, suppose you make one mistake, my God, everybody criticizes you, therefore you are finished. So we have to somehow get used to, in India, failure is a part of success. We have to learn to appreciate failure in an experiment. For example, sometimes you may not remember the early days, our rockets wouldn't go up. Now all the rockets are going up. If the one rocket didn't go, Indian rockets, they're no good. And our atomic energy, some reactors took 2 years more. You will say, oh, Indians can't do this thing at all. That is not the way to look at it. I think we have to learn how to respect failure, and failure is part of life. We have to be tolerant. Anyway, coming back, in spite of everything, in India we can do something. I want you to know that. Don't criticize India. If you can't do it, it is because you can't do it. You are not doing it because you don't want to do it. Because nobody stops you from doing it. Most of the time, this kind of attitude of doing our best, even in India, in spite of everything, is something that we have to inculcate. How do you get that? How do you get an attitude where you do work in spite of everything? I remember when I started writing a first book of mine when I was 25 years old. I remember still, everybody used to make me, you are writing a book, I see. And then of course it was published in London, and second book came when I was 29 years old from academic press, 700-page book. People used to make me, this Rao is writing a book. A joke, it was a joke. Well, you don't worry about that. Let them make the joke, but you write whatever you want to do. You must learn how to take criticism, and in spite of everything, continue to work. This is very important. It is very, I feel, I've always felt it very important to remember the work of great men. Work of great men and the stories of great men, great scientists has always inspired me. I always used to, how did, for example, Ramanujan in our country, sitting in a miserable place, even today you go to that place, it is impossible to reach that place. I have gone there recently to give a lecture, Ramanujan lecture in that small town in Tamil Nadu, near Tanjore. How did he sit and write 3,000 theorems and conjectures? Is it because government of India gave him a salary? Was big scholarship? Nothing. Zero. Why did he do that? So that is the kind of story that I like. A man does something because of his passion, because of his excitement, because he wants to do something. He did that. I don't know whether you know about C.V. Raman. He was a very important life in my life. C.V. Raman, I'll tell you why in a minute. Before I tell you that, what about C.V. Raman's life? C.V. Raman was member of the financial service of British government. Many of you may not know. He was senior accounts officer in Nagpur, or something like that, chief accounts officer, something like that. And during the evenings, after finishing his job in the accounts office, go to the local science college and do some experiments. That is when he did all his experiments on acoustics and he became an FRS. In fact, you see my name, they put FRS next to me. Even today, becoming a fellow of the Royal Society is very difficult. But then he became an FRS, doing work during evenings. Not because he had a job as a scientist. Later he went to Calcutta as Assistant Accountant General, and there in the evenings, again, worked in the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science. He started the work eventually which led to the Nobel Prize. And much later he became a professor. It was much later we in the Indian Institute of Science invited him as a professor of physics in 1933 rather. So it was much later. So it is amazing. So this is the story we should remember. Another Indian story, J.C. Bose. I hope you all know about J.C. Bose. He was the first modern scientist of India. Even before C.N.R Rao. J.C. Bose, he got a BA degree in Cambridge and came back in the Presidency College in Calcutta. He did research enough to do make an experiment, successful experiment, telegraphy. In fact, even now it is amazing. He used a lead sulfide crystal in one of his experiments. In fact, one of my famous gurus, the Nobel laureate, again a great man in Cambridge, Professor Neville Mott, with whom I have worked. Neville Mott always used to ask me, Professor Rao, how did he think of using that crystal so in 19th century? Oh, remember, J.C. Bose worked in 19th century. He did his research in 1895. I hope you all know enough science to know. If you don't know enough science, let me teach you 1 minute. 1895, we had not yet discovered the electron. The electron was discovered in 1895. Structure of the atom was known in 1911. But this Indian scientist in Bengal discovered telegraphy without having knowledge either of the electron or of the atom. Amazing. He should have got a Nobel Prize. He missed it. They cheated him actually. In fact, there's a very nice write-up now in the Royal Society how J.C. Bose got cheated out of the Nobel Prize. Marconi got the entire Nobel Prize. That is different. Leave that story. But these are the stories that we should tell children. These are the things we should remember, why we should work and how we should work. Well, anyway, I can go on giving stories. In fact, if at all I have to give a story on science, I must mention at least my greatest hero in science, Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday had only 3 years of schooling. After primary school, he couldn't go because father died. He had to work to help his family. But look at what he did. He learned science on his own. He actually accidentally got a job in Davis Laboratory. I hope you all know how he got the job in Davis Laboratory. One day he was working as an assistant to a bookbinder. A person comes to the bookbinder shop and says, you know, there are 3 lectures being given by Sir Humphrey Davy on advances in chemistry. I want to give to somebody who wants to attend those lectures. The bookbinder says, you know, this young boy, Faraday, he's very much interested. He says, maybe you can give to that boy. So he gets these 3 tickets and attends those lectures. And he was enamored. Sir Humphrey Davy was a great lecturer. He listened to Davy and was so enamored, he wrote down all the lecture notes and so on, bound the book, and goes back next week to Sir Humphrey Davy. Sir Humphrey Davy, I bound all your lecture notes as a book, and you please take it. And then, of course, as usual, as many people do, sir, do you think you can give me a job in your lab? As usual, as all vice chancellors do, oh, I'm sorry, there is no vacancy. He sends him away. And fortunately for him, 1 month later, there is a boy who was learning in Davy's laboratory who runs away for some reason. And then he remembered Faraday. Why don't get that Faraday and give him the job? He was made a laboratory attendant. His first job actually was chief bottle washer in the laboratory. Faraday started as chief bottle washer in the laboratory. Look at what happened later. He excelled his own guru. He excelled his master. What is so great about Faraday, you may say? As Sir Lord Rutherford said, if he lived in the 20th century, he would have got 5 Nobel Prizes. 6, he said. I said 4 he would have got. Why is that? Loss of electrolysis, everyone knows. That would have got a Nobel Prize. He was the one who discovered benzene, the most important molecule of organic chemistry. Got a Nobel Prize for that. Even more important, he discovered electricity. I hope you know that. He would have got a Nobel Prize for that. Of course, you remember that famous story when he discovered electricity, the Minister for not Education, Finance Minister goes and asks him, what is the use of your work? Well, he said, someday you will tax it, he said. And in fact, we are still paying taxes for electricity. So he was a very fantastic person. He was a, greatness about Michael Faraday, why I like him is, he wrote 450 research papers single-handed. He had no research assistant, no student, no postdoc, nothing, single-handed. Each one he wrote on his own. Fantastic. And each one was a marvel. He had a simplicity about him, about his experiments, about his life. Simplicity about experiment. For those interested in science, let me tell you one example. Somebody asked him, Mr. Faraday, they say oxygen is paramagnetic, nitrogen is not. How can you prove that? Oh, I will do an experiment, he said. Well, he took a little magnet and he made soap bubbles containing oxygen, soap bubbles containing nitrogen. He made this magnet, when they make the soap bubbles go through the magnet, the soap bubbles containing oxygen got stuck to the magnet. Soap bubbles containing nitrogen did not. He said, see, oxygen is paramagnetic. Everything he did was extraordinary experimentalist. And his simplicity, this is very important. I hope our Chief Minister will, looking at him, I believe he's like that. We have to, the greater we become, simpler should be our personality. Simplicity is part of human life, particularly of Indian life. We should not become arrogant, we should not lose our head, and Faraday was like that. In fact, when Faraday, the famous letter, Queen Victoria writes to Faraday, Mr. Faraday, I would like you to be knighted. So he will become Sir Michael Faraday. He wrote back to the Queen, dear Queen, so thank you very much for this great honor you want to do me. But everyone calls me Michael, Mike and all that. I don't want that. So thank you very much. He did accept. Even more interesting about Michael Faraday, we in the Royal Society, of course, to be a president of the Royal Society those days was important. They wrote to him, we would like you to be the president of the Royal Society. He wrote back saying, my place is in the laboratory. I don't think I should become president of the Royal Society. He didn't accept. How many of us do that? Every professor wants to be a director, every director wants to be secretary to government. They always are looking for job, promotion, administration, working in the lab, working in the teaching profession. We are like that. So don't ever be like that, you young people here. Stick to what you want to do. Don't give up that. Don't be enamored by little money, little power, little position. That's the point. Faraday is a good example. Faraday never accepted anything. Well, I can go on and on. I would not like to do that. But I would like to come to a close very soon. What I would like to say most importantly of all is that it is very important to have a way of life in India which somehow excites young people to do great things. Unfortunately, for the last few years, too much of commercialization and various things have come. People are enamored about mobile, people are laptop, everything is impressing. I don't know why they are so excited about that. Laptop is not technology. Neither is mobile. In fact, mobile is such a curse actually. People are always holding one like that. They're always talking. I don't know what are they talking. I don't have a mobile, baby. I don't carry one. I don't want one. I think we should get rid of useless things. What are you talking about all your life? My students, they're always having one hand here. So I believe Charles Darwin is correct in evolution. In the next few thousand years, man will have only one hand because one hand will be And leaving that aside, we have to get used to a different way of living. And our society should help. Our Chief Minister, I hope, will help in Uttarakhand to do that. Our Education Minister. Where our entire Janata should support education. We want better schools. They should demand. They should, the science also, our scientists should demand better facilities for science. In fact, our teachers usually have a strike for better salary or better increment. Our students may do something, but they never want better quality of education. Quality of education, quality of science must be demanded of the entire society. And when that value system comes in India, India will become, go to the top. I think, I really feel this should happen. But I only think in all this, we people like me, old fellows like me, must continue to work. In fact, age is not, Papa said we are 84, well I work more than any 18-year-old in my lab, I can tell you. I still publish more than all the young professors, publish 25 papers a year. And in fact, somebody asked me the other day in a TV interview, how do you do that? Why do you do that? Well, age is a superficial thing. Remember, But Kabir said, you know that famous thing, Man mein Ganga, man mein Kashi, man mein snan karo. I hope you all know that. Age is nothing, no meaning at all. We have to keep working for India, working for a cause as long as we live. Work is the way to live. Work is the purpose for which we are born. There are philosophers, Indian philosophers, in the old days who said, our main purpose is not only to pray to God and do well, but God admires only those who serve society. There are people who have said that in India. So I think we should do that. And anyway, coming back, then we also should excite young people, as I've told, we people like older fellows. In my own life, I got excited about science because of C.V. Raman. I don't know whether you know that. I'll tell you that one story before I close. When I was in school, I was 11 years old, 1945. I was in high school. By the way, I finished high school at the age of 13. My BSc honors at the age of 17. So at 11, he came, C.V. Raman, and gave a lecture to a student, our school student. My God, I saw this C.V. Raman holding on to his... Oh my God. This very unstable. It's okay.